Well, can you still hear me okay?
Why don't you? Yes, I can. Why don't you do the recap, Adam, and that'll give us a
Oh,
nice
it's
long sound test.
okay.
Also, Mike wasn't here.
Yes. So last session, I we gained a bit more information about George Toohey, who turns out to be very good friends, or was very good friends with Langston Reed. So George Toohey does the woodwork and has a large workshop by the river, but Langton Reed, who was his friend, did all the steel girders, etc. So our plan was to get them both to build a boat for us, but that was looking good until we discovered that they are no longer friends. And I think we got a bit of gossip out of one of I think it was the Cat Whiskers pub landlord, who doesn't like to gossip, but he was very good at it. Told us that they had fallen out over a diamond hilted seal, which I believe a gentleman had secured a boat, I think, to be built by them, and given them one of them the diamond hilted seal. A guy called Honest Chuck, and I think one of the friends, either Langton or George Toohey, had Langton, perhaps, from looking at my notes, was to secure that diamond seal somewhere as collateral to buy the resources, and he went missing. Oh no, the seal went missing and they fell out, and we went to investigate Honest Chuck, who'd gone missing. And my notes say Langton blamed George of killing him and vice versa. Oh yes, so I'm getting a bit mixed up here. I think Honest Chuck maybe had the diamond seal, and Langton blamed George for killing Honest Chuck and taking the diamond seal, perhaps.
Correct.
And the other way around, and George blamed Langton. So we went to investigate Honest George's home. We broke in, and after a bit of searching, we found a hidden trapdoor into his basement, and we found his diary. And in his diary we discovered that he was a collector of some rare books, and if I remember rightly, these rare books, each edition became more complicated and was produced to a higher standard, perhaps even with I think maybe magical properties, or certainly the precious materials that we used to make them. And Honest Chuck had been in correspondence with fellow collectors about these books, it seemed, for a long time, but one particular correspondence had promised to meet him to share with him the latest edition, or the most precious version of this book. And Honest Chuck had written in his diary that he was excited to go meet this person, and that was the last time that Honest Chuck was ever seen.
Now, don't forget as well that you made a new friend.
Yes, I did make such a good friend that I've forgotten his name. But it was Trevor's new character, wasn't it? But I didn't.
It was. I can't remember if he's called Acker or Acre.
That's it, Acre. Yes, and he's a birdman. He is. I can't remember the name of the race. Arakocra.
That's right.
Arakocra. And yeah, Dr. Glade has taken a bit of a shine to him, maybe because he's a fellow non-traditional humanoid, and he proved quite useful in helping us get into the home. And Judd's character, his skills were also very useful. I think he turned into he was talking to the spiders, I think, at one point, to one of the house spiders helped us locate Honest George's hidden cache.
Yes, that's absolutely right. And don't forget as well, the only other thing I think that you maybe didn't mention that is relatively important is you left Honest Chucks with an effect which you kept. You removed from his diary. Do you remember?
Was it an extract, a torn extract from the edition, the edition of book that he was after? Was it that?
Nearly. It was a torn page from a later edition of the books than he had from a friend of his, a pen pal, who sent it to him to demonstrate the fine craftsmanship. He was on his way when he disappeared to find the. So that was book 10. He was on his way to go and see if he could purchase book 10.
That's right.
10, so of even finer quality and value. And then the one thing that I didn't mention in game, but is an important thing to know for just general sort of notation, and I did put it in the chat, was that in Honest Chuck's diary, he talks about correspondence with all his longtime friends, other enthusiasts of this book series, The Legends of Fangul, which, Mike, is a very poorly written love story about a dwarf and elf who meet and fall in love in the most unlikely circumstances. And many of the scenes, according to Honest Chuck's diary, many of the passages are quite explicit, shall we say. So anyway,
fantasy, I don't know.
And anyway, so he has these other enthusiasts that he knows that have other versions of this book or other volumes in this 10-volume run. But he noticed recently, over the last year or so, that they'd all stopped writing with no explanation. Quite mysteriously, one by one, they'd all ghosted him, essentially, and they hadn't been responding to his follow-ups or his other letters. So anyway, with that being said, I believe you resolved last time to head to the last place he was seen. Do you remember where that was?
Yes, well, I don't know. I do know we learnt the location. It was in his diary, but I haven't made a note of where that was actually. But yeah, I know we had learnt the location of his of where he's going to rendezvous with this person who had the 10th edition.
You always have such good notes, Adam. Thank you. So you did learn the location. It was a sea grotto on the coast.
Yes.
Which was infamous. Do you remember why it was infamous?
I think it's because it was used for smuggling by pirates, wasn't it? We went to visit old Bill Bates' tackle shop, thinking that he would know its location and information about it, and he confirmed that that indeed it was frequented by smugglers and pirates, and that we needed to be careful, I think.
Yes, I can't remember if you talked to Bill or not, but you definitely learned that it was a pirate haunt, and that it hadn't been used in some time, but that it was definitely a known spot for that kind of thing. Okay. Then I suppose we'd ought to begin. It is morning in the Cat's Whiskers, a new inn, Michael, because Boone and Malin are no longer allowed to go into the old inn, which was called the oh my gosh, I've forgotten my own inn. The Singing Jester, that was it. So you've kipped up overnight at the Cat's Whiskers. You come downstairs, Dr. Glade. You've come downstairs and you've met with Malin and with your new friend, Acre. Did we decide it was Acre?
Yes.
Yes. And your new friend, Acre. And you wait, and you wait, and you wait. But Boone never comes downstairs.
I'd better go wake him up. I mean, I'm sure he deserves a rest, but did he have much to drink last night? I can't remember.
And the boys don't remember either. You wander upstairs, and you knock on the door, and the door swings open, and it's empty. But there is a note on the table. You open up the note, and it's from Boone. He
What's it?
expresses his
Bitch, I'm out. No, I'm kidding.
and he says, "Bitch, bye." He expresses his regret at having slunk away, but the death of Cricus and some discoveries, he says, some revelations that he's had, though he doesn't mention what, have shaken him to his very core. And so he's gone to do some soul searching and a bit of investigating into these revelations, and he hopes to join you at some point in the future, but is gone.
No forwarding address.
Uh,
Hello?
My
Hello? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, you're
Oh.
all fine. Michael, forwarding address. What you? I mean, I've kind of paraphrased the note, but it is your note. What would Boone say?
That's pretty much the gist of it, and he would also say that if for whatever reason you absolutely do need to get contact of him to send off, and he did. I wouldn't say a forwarding, but it's just the he puts down the name of an airship
Mhm.
that you can write to, and then they'll eventually get it to Boone. The name of the airship is, hold on, I have it right here. Sorry, hold on. It's in my notes. In my notes. Yes. It. I don't know why the fuck I didn't remember that. The name of the ship is Mercy. The Mercy.
Named Mercy. Okay. Okay, so Dr. Glade will will put that letter in his medical satchel, and just a little whisper under his breath, and friend, all my friends have left me again. Daddy would find that amusing, wouldn't he? And then he'll go downstairs to
How do you break the news to the boy?
So I think, especially with Acre not knowing Boone very well, I think Dr. Glade would be embarrassed, perhaps, that the party that he'd started with is starting to fall apart, and they've still got a job to do. So I think he would try and put a good light on it. So we've got Acre now, and Judge. What's Judge's character called?
Malin.
Malin. So I would say to Acre and Malin. Boone has left a message. He has some business to attend to, and he will be in contact when he can. But for now, it just looks like the three of us. So looks like more profits for us at the moment.
I would assume that the other players would be, or the other characters, I should say, would be receptive to that notion of extra cash. You review the day ahead, and you speak at length for breakfast about the tasks that you have remaining before you're able to go and hunt this fish. And you realize that aside from the boat, which you're already investigating with this pirate nonsense, you also have a couple other things. You have to collect some beef and corn, and someone has to go and obtain ritual words from the local member of the clergy, some sort of local religious figure. You divvy up the tasks. Acre eagerly volunteers to go and speak
Just
with
to let you know,
priests.
your mic's really bad at the moment.
Thank you. I will.
Are you still there, Mike? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you. You still sound kind of choppy.
Bit choppy. Okay, hang on. Give it a sec. Give it a sec. Internet service change in the next couple weeks. So
You might want to repeat the whole task thing. It was pretty bad.
From the very beginning?
Yeah, listing off the tasks.
No problem. Is it any better? The voice?
A little bit.
No.
It's still a bit roboty.
We'll give another try. Hang on. Better now?
Oh yes, keep talking.
Excellent. So, I was talking about the tasks ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Would now be an appropriate time to recap the tasks ahead.
Yes.
Good. Glad it's working. Dr. Glade, you sit with Malin and with Acre, and you discuss the tasks ahead. You talk about the various things that you still have yet to do in order to hunt this fish. And you realize there's sort of three major components. You're already hot on the trail of the ship that you need to build by looking for Honest Chuck. That was his name. By looking for Honest Chuck. But you also have to source some beef and corn in addition to the gems which Danny is providing to you. And you have to get some ritual words for the ceremony from the local religious figure, whomever that might be. And so you agree that the most sensible course of action, because neither of these things sounds particularly difficult in and of themselves, is... You all right, Mike? Okay. You agree that the most sensible course of action is simply to divvy the responsibilities. Acre enthusiastically volunteers to local religious authorities. He is learning as much as he can. He's recently been introduced to the of Skenosauce, this monadism that you've heard about, and is enthusiastic to go and speak to someone a bit more, find out a little bit if he can. So he's agreed to go do that, and Malin thus falls to him to go and do the naturey bits, the cows and the corn. And so he volunteers to go and see if he can drum up some supplies, which leaves Dr. Glade to see if he can't go and find Honest Chuck and Diamond, which might be missing.
Mm-hmm.
And as they go their separate ways, Dr. Glade, you linger a moment to finish a cup of coffee or whatever it might be. And you see across the pub, across the inn floor, I forget what it is, across the room, you see across the room a dwarf. This dwarf is, I'd say, middle-aged. He's got flowing brown locks and an intricately braided beard with some gold rings in it to sort of augment the braids. On his back is strapped a large battle axe, and he wears plate armor. And he's looking over. He's looking at you, not towards you, but at you, and seems interested in everything you've just been.
In Dwarvish, because Dr. Glade can talk Dwarvish, will... Good morning, sir. How are you?
Supposed to be Doug?
Hello? Did you hear that?
That's you, Mike. That's you. That's your entrance.
Alex, I'm not a dwarf.
Are you not?
No, I'm a variant human.
You look exactly like a dwarf.
Hey, I'm so sorry.
All right, let me try that again. Dr. Glade, across the bar.
And he has a mace just to be extra.
Then pick a better character portrait.
And he had I know I'm gonna get one made again. But no, and he has the one thing I would say that is of value on him. One, um, it looks like a hammered piece, a platinum piece, as an earring, like a dangling platinum piece earring.
Okay. I tell you what. Here's what's going to happen. We're going to edit all of what I just said out, and I'm going to introduce you, and you get to describe your own character. How about that? So, Dr. Glade, you look across the bar, and you see a human looking at you. A human man of middle. He is middle-aged, is he not, Mike?
No.
For fuck's sake, right? Hang on. Dr. Glade, you look across the bar and you catch an eye. And this eye belongs to a human man with a very fetching platinum piece earring. And you can tell by the way he's looking that he's not looking towards you sort of in the bar. He's looking right at you and has been very interested in what you've just had to say to your comrades.
And I will look back and say, I didn't see you there. Have you spent the evening here? What would you recommend for breakfast?
Kind of catching himself startled, he'll kind of sit up a bit straighter and say, goodness, I'm so sorry for staring. I don't have the best social cues, if you will. The honeyed ham is not bad.
I may. I think I'll have that with a couple of eggs. Good recommendation. Thank you. My name's Dr. Glade, and you are?
Dr. Glade, I'm Delg.
Doug?
Delg Orbound. I will scratch it on this here piece of paper.
Thank you. And Dr. Glade reaches into his top pocket of his jacket and pulls out a business card. Dr. Glade, this is my practice back in Notus, but well, as you probably overheard, I've having a bit of a sabbatical. I'm seeing what the life of an adventurer is like. What is it you do, Delg?
Yes, thank you. And he turns over the card a few times. He goes, I am just a simple smithy. I follow the teachings of Hephaestus and do my best to become a tool, just like the ones that I make, just to forge some bright light in this darkening world. And I couldn't help but hear some of the taskings you have at hand, and I can't help but think that this may be what I was called here for.
Really? What gives you that? It is a rather bizarre task I have taken on. I must admit, if you have overheard much of the conversation, giant fish, corn,
Yes.
beef, gems.
Precisely.
Yes. Which part in particular has caught your
I
attention?
overheard you speaking of the ritual boat, which couldn't help but make me think I'm honestly not from here, and through my own investigation of the town, understand that this ritual boat is for the fish, and not in an elemental form, not natural storm, but just a dark, murky water being thrashed about by some kind of beast. And I must admit, I don't hear much from my patron, but when I do, I am quite attentive, and I couldn't help but follow it here.
I must say, my profession as a doctor, I feel I must be upfront with you. And these religious practices, I feel most uncomfortable with them. But I am an open-minded man, a scientific man. But I will not. I do not doubt there are powers that I don't fully understand. I'm still coming to terms with magic, fascinated by it, but the powers of beings beyond this realm also equally fascinate me. There's no denying they're there, but I'm desperate to find a scientific solution to the power that your kind can wield.
Absolutely.
I
And
would
I can't seem to admit or pretend to admit that even myself, I don't claim to know much of anything. I stick to my forge, and I do my best to create tools and weapons that will help people like you and I. Can't say that I've made any of, and in looking and seeing your scalpel and other things that you would have like on your person, um, I haven't made anything so quite delicate as that. But I'm very fascinated, and I'd be very interested in taking a look at some of your tools to further my own studies.
Delg, I see a partnership forming here. Perhaps an academic paper is in the make. So I tell you what, I have a little errand I need to run. A strange mystery here in town that's preventing me from sourcing the ritual boat that I require. Would you mind accompanying me for a while? I could use the backup, and we get to know each other a little bit more. Perhaps discuss our mutual uh, interests and inquiries, and I'll talk a little bit more about this academic paper we could work on. Yes, science meets spirituality.
Absolutely, I would be more than interested in Doctor. Lead the way. And I will say that some of the strongest friendships are forged in the heat of battle. Not that we should go into that, but friendship awaits. And then sticks out his hand.
And Dr. Glade will, without hesitation, shake it.
Firmly grasp it. Um. Okay.
And I imagine
Great.
he has his mask. He has his mask on.
Oh yes.
And
Always.
do I notice anything shaking his hand?
No, he'll have his gloves on as well. So.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Something that you would notice about Delg, he's a young man in the midst in the meat and potatoes of his apprenticeship. I would say a bit of a muscular, but not overly so. Fairly slender. And what you would notice on his neck, on the same side of his neck that he has the platinum piece earring, you'll see one single smithing hammer vertically tattooed on his neck.
Mhm.
I don't know if and that's common, that these certain types of tattoos are I would say are common for the family he comes from. Um, I don't know about the lore of this continent, but that was that's a slavery tattoo, Alex.
Yes.
Based on like what your position is, what you're bought for, is what they tattoo on you, so you can't run away or get out for anything.
So, Dr. Glade, with the circles that he has grown up in, with his father in the kind of higher echelons of the city, and the surgeon to the king. Um, I suspect he may. He certainly will have come across perhaps talk of slaves at the very least, if it happens in this kingdom. Would there be a chance that he would recognise that? Have the slaves been in notice? Or would it be common that runaway slaves would come to notice?
Yes, I think there was a Well, actually, here's a good question for Delg. Delg, why or where are you from? Are you from Skenesaws or are you from somewhere?
Yeah, I'm from Skenesaws. I would say whichever is the more traditionalist side, wherever. And I mean, I'm from like a smaller town. It's not very large. The My owners would actually travel to the city
Mm-hmm.
to when they had the opportunity to purchase someone that they would travel for that. Something else with the tattoo as well, vertically going through the tattoo is one single red line, and it's a very, I guess the best way to put it is minimalist. Like it's just a very like stick figure looking smithing tool with a single red line going vertically through it.
Okay. I think that Dr. Glade, you would know that in the world of Skenesaws, and if you reference the map that isn't on Roll20, your mic doesn't cut out, but one that I've put in the chat and pinned resources. Notice is in the center, and Notice is connected very well to the rest of the world by roads. That's the word I wanted. By roads, but you know that there are plenty of places further away and very difficult to get to, which are a lot more conservative and a lot more backwards, especially near where you are in Leidenford in this sort of eastern coastline. Leidenford is a decently sized town. There's a smaller town called Dardham just north. There's lots of little villages and conclaves, and if there's a place that you want to go to avoid people, it's typically either here in Firlin, the province of Firlin on the east, or the neighboring province of Fenna, which is sort of flanked by high mountains on both sides, and getting up in there is very difficult. So it's the slave trade, although not really explicitly legal in Skenesaws, is still sort of thriving, alive and well. Dimeramos doesn't have such compunctions about it, and the ports there are harder to control in Notice. So you would know, yes, to answer your question, that a lot of escaped slaves would try their hardest to flee over into the more populated areas of Skenesaws, like Notice, in order to be free. And once they made their ways into the main Feloy and all the rest, they tend to be relatively safe because the infrastructure there is well enough that if someone came hunting for them, they'd probably put themselves in more danger looking for an escaped slave because they were escaped than they would be just sort of letting them go and knowing no one's ever going to hike all the way over to where they are to punish them for having one in the first place.
Um, I I was trying I was trying to decide whether Dr. Glade would actually say anything, but I think for the time being, I think he would have no problem with that. I think he would probably hate slavery anyway. So it's not as if he's thinking, oh, I should return this to their owner, or I think he would be more as a physician concerned for Delg's well-being, both mental and physical, and there would there be any way that he could help. But I think he would wait until he gets to know Delg a bit better, or for Delg to open up before forcing his help upon Delg.
Okay. Um.
But he's taken note.
Okay. Anything more you'd like to do before you begin your trek?
Well, let's order that honeyed ham, I think.
You do. You order cold cuts of honeyed ham. It comes with 2 eggs fried just the way you like them, and another cup of coffee, and you enjoy four silver pieces.
So
A delicious breakfast.
to do that, I would have to remove the front part of my mask. So how would Delg react to seeing Dr. Glady's a tabaxi?
That's a good question. It, Delg, actually, you know what? Delg wouldn't even bat an eye. Just continue eating. Like not even really not that he's trying to hide that he noticed that you're a tabaxi, but just kind of do like I wouldn't even say a double take. Like he just doesn't even bat an eye.
Cool. Okay. I think Dr. Glade would notice that too, because the absence of shock and double takes would probably stand out for him.
I would think so, yeah. Okay. Just two fucked up boys.
Deep breath.
Chilling in eating honeyed ham because they're adventurers. Okay. So, what are you going to do? What's next? Do you have anything you'd like to do in town? I mean, I can lead you down to the... Is there anything you'd like to prepare?
So, well, I'll put that question to Delg. I said, look here, Delg. We need to go to a sea cave, a hidden sea grotto, and the intelligence I've gained upon this grotto is that it's often frequented by pirates and smugglers. Now, we may be lucky in that we don't cross paths with them, but I think we need to go prepared. And at the very least, there's potentially Honest George is in some kind of trouble. Worst case scenario, he's been robbed, is injured, or even murdered. So I see. Would I see that Delg is armed? Would I see any weapons on him?
Yeah, he's got he's got an explorer's pack on him. You can tell by the shifting. You can hear chainmail underneath his traveler's clothes, and he has a mace at his side.
Okay, you're clearly not. You're clearly not new to fighting. I can tell by your armor and weaponry. So it'd be good to
when necessary, but quite.
So, but what I'm saying is there may be trouble. And is there anything that you need from town before we leave? I'm quite handy with repairing injuries and healing people in the field, so I don't think we need to worry there. But yes, if we
you don't say. I think we're gonna get a lot. I think we're gonna get along a lot better than I thought we were in the very beginning, even if it was gonna be very nice. I'm a cleric of sorts, if you will. But yes, let's get on this way. Let's see if we can help this friend of ours.
Yes, the healing power of the clerics. Yes, something. Oh yes, our research. Very good. So yeah, let's with haste. Let's head to the grotto.
Excellent. I'm gonna go pee.
Give me bits of honeyed ham out of his beard, and gets on his way.
Yeah, likewise, Dr. Glade with his paws. Yeah, licks his paws and cleans the. Yes, yeah, very good, Delg. That was delicious. Honeyed ham. Well, yes.
Alex, you there?
I think he said he was going to the toilet.
Okay. I didn't even hear him. But yeah, no, I'm actually I'm a forge cleric.
Right. I don't really know the fluff behind that. So so that's like a blacksmith with cleric powers, is it? Or do you make things to divine the power through, or?
Yeah, essentially. When I hit level 6, that's where the basically it's just a really beefy cleric. It's hard to hit. I can just impose a +1 AC on anybody as a bonus, or a +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls. If it's a weapon, I can just grab your weapon and be like, yep, +1.
Nice.
Just as I think that's a once a day thing that I can do. So right now, because I've done that to myself, I'm sitting comfortably at a 19 AC. So it's juicy. Or I could turn that around and turn a +1, and then on top of that use magical weapon, which is a spell, and then make it. I can just essentially impose a +2/+2 weapon on my.
Wow.
It's yeah, he's cool.
To get him
When
to
he hits
take a look
level
at my
6, he
scalpels
gets fire
sometime.
resistance, fire damage resistance, and stuff. Huh?
I'll have to get him to look at Dr. Clade's scalpels sometimes.
No, absolutely.
Make it a trident scalpel.
So yeah, we're ready when you are.
Or no, I think we've agreed to go, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Bro. So you make your way down. You stroll down, and for those of you that are on the Roll20 the map, you stroll down the road as far as you can, but eventually you find that it peels off, and there's only sort of poorly trodden tracks, paths, nothing major or paved. Eventually, you make your way. It's only been about 4 or 5 hours by this point, but you make your way down and you find yourself near the coast. The coast is a gentle slope which leads down towards some beaches, but on certain parts of crags and some cliffs, and you reckon it's going to be in one of the where the cave is situated. From asking the proprietor.
Well, we've lost you, or you've lost me. Hello?
No, I've lost him as well.
Okay.
No, it's me. Stand by.
When we get you back, you might want to start from...
Testing.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Testing. Start from?
Start from that we saw the coast. You went pretty robotic after that.
Okay. Still okay?
So. A little bit of robot.
Yep.
Oh, no, you got... Oh, no,
Testing. Testing. One,
Yep.
2, 3.
Yep.
Yeah, fine.
That's good.
You make your way to the coast. It gently slopes down to the sea. You note many lovely-looking beaches. But there are areas where there are cliffs and crags which protrude up from the water, and you reckon it's in one of those... Hang on. I can see I've gone poorly connected. And it's in one of those cliffs where you reckon the cave most likely situated. Bogdan, the proprietor of the Cat's Whiskers Inn, where both of you have spent the night, did give you semi-decent directions. But I think it would be a bit more fun if we made this in something. But I've only just decided that, so I have to think about what that's going to look like. Roll a check of some. It's going to be survival check.
All right. Your mic's pretty bad at the moment while we do that.
And let me say it again, or I'll have to record it later. You are looking for the cave, relying on poor directions. Roll a survival check.
I rolled a 25.
Oh, well done, because I only got a 3.
Fucking hell. Okay. So. Dr. Glenn and start marching towards a cave which is clearly Delg, you have to grab him to the city boy.
Whoa.
Oh,
We don't want to go down that one, bud.
really? It looks very smugly to me.
Yeah, that's more than we want to chew off. If we actually, I'm getting a. I was gonna say divine sense, but I'm just gonna be honest with you. That is just not the right way. Let's go this way.
Okay, well, if you're sure.
And then when we what do we see when we go down the other way?
Walk down a narrow path, but you make to the and you find yourself face to face with a triangular cave opening. It's maybe 100 feet high or more, and maybe 50 feet wide in a sort of pointed tooth shape. And the water laps inside. You don't see an obvious way swimming or needing some kind of vessel.
Seeing this, we'll attempt to take a look around to see if there's any boats tied off to a rock nearby or anything like that that we could use in.
You note an old rope where a boat was once tied.
So, you were saying, so you were breaking up a bit. So the entrance to the cave is submerged. Is that what you need a boat to get into it?
Enormous entrance to the cave. It's 100 feet high and 50 feet wide, but there's no land route in. You couldn't walk along a path to get to the back. You would have to either sail somehow in order to gain entrance to the inside of the cave.
Is there a way onto the top of it? Because quite often sea caves have a vent where the water is sometimes forced out in rough seas.
Yes, so you've come down sort of you could go back up and see if you can investigate from above.
So I'll suggest that to Del. From what I understand, often in the high seas, the sea is forced inside the cave, and there's nowhere for it to go. And often over millennia, a vent is created to allow the water to squirt out of the top. Perhaps we could climb onto the top of the cave and find a way down rather than in.
It sounds good to me. It might give us some sort of element of surprise as well.
Yes.
In.
So yeah, we'll venture onto the top of the cave and see if we can find any cracks or vents down.
I think I lost you guys.
Can you hear me, Mike?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Ooh.
I think we've lost
you
you. Something's wrong with your
For I cannot hear you. But I see you speaking.
Here, hold on. Let me get in a gameplay chat.
Again.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you. I don't think you can hear us.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Uh-oh.
My internet was poo-poo indeed. I can hear you typing, Maya.
Oh, hello.
I can hear you speaking.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yay.
Wow, what a poo-poo. Okay.
I wonder if there's been an update. We seem to be struggling tonight, don't we?
I agree.
Okay. So we're going to the top.
So you're going up top. Okay.
Oh, you sound really good now, yeah.
Yeah, I'm on 3 bars now, but give it a second and it'll be shit. Here we go. You scramble your way back up to the top, and you begin to look for a vent. What are you looking for?
So I think at the very least we would look at the lie of the land and does it sink? So a very simple thing like that. Is there any like a entrance to a pothole, or a cave that in the ground where it would sink, or where the water is running. Oh yeah, might even look for any running water, because water's got to go down. So we would look for any signs of that. Any signs, I don't know if it's a rough day at sea, is there actually any water spurting out of any holes, or even listening, can we hear the echo of the water lapping down below us through any holes in the top of the cave? Those kind of signs.
Make an investigation check.
Okay. I got a natural one,
Oh boy.
which equals four in total.
Mike, you searching?
Yes, sorry. I just wanted to make sure I'm allowed to. I got an 18. Hello?
Yes. What did you get?
An 18.
Fine. Between the two of you, I would say you discover you do discover a vent, all for either of you to fit through.
Damn, the theory was worthwhile, but the outcome wasn't what we were hoping for. Can we?
Reaching into this hole, is it pretty solid all the way around, or can I reach? Seem could we make this hole any bigger?
It's not a thin that's sort of separating you from a larger hole. It's sort of a narrow crack that extends for some way. You could widen it, but it would take an enormous, probably several days of pickaxe.
Um, Doctor Glade, when we learnt about these bladders from these fish that help us swim underwater, did we ascertain whether that was a one-time only, or was it a repeated use?
Say that one more time, please. I'm sorry.
When we collected the bladders from the
Yes.
fish that we discovered would give us the ability to breathe underwater, do we know, or would Dr. Glade know, if that's a one-time use, or is that
you would eat it. So once you've
right,
consumed for a period, and then you've consumed it.
So I don't think that's a good use of them. I think we're going to need that to tackle the catfish.
Well, also it's worth mentioning it's not an underwater entrance. It's just an open. It's an open entrance. You just have to swim. You would necessarily.
Okay, so Delegate, I'm afraid we're going to have to get wet. It's becoming a bit of a habit of mine, this,
There's nothing wrong with that, and let's get to it then.
So I guess we need to work our way down as close to the cave mouth as we can safely get to, and then jump in or wade in if we can get close enough.
Sure. You path which runs immediately next to the entrance, and you see that there is one rock which is just you could use as a step as you sort of plunge yourself in.
Mm-hmm.
And you do submerge yourselves. The water cold but not biting, and it is not necessarily overly rough, I should say. And you begin to swim into the back of this passage. It takes you to swim back there. It's a few hundred yards, maybe a few hundred meters.
Can we
not too
do
many.
it as quietly as possible?
Yep.
Stealth, perhaps?
Good idea, Adam. Please make a stealth check.
16.
All right.
And I will do the same.
So yeah, Dr. Glade will hand gesture Shh. Put his lip to his mouth, his finger to his lip. Shh.
Dr. Glade, you're wearing quite nicely fitting, lightweight as a doctor stroke rogue protection over your body, and so you're able to swim relatively easily. You're wearing chainmail and big, heavy metal implements. Do you put anything safely before you get in, or are you swimming with all of this?
I'm gonna take off my chainmail shirt, but I'm gonna try to hold on to it if I'm able to, and just swim and get to the other side if I can. But if it becomes too cumbersome, then I'll drop it.
Okay. You are. This is what causes you to be so unstealthy. You splash a bit, not too much, but you splash a bit. You do make it to the with the chainmail intact. What you see is you've come through this long passageway, 100 feet high and 50 feet wide, and you've swum to the back of it, maybe 300 feet, and it opens up into this cavern. And on the other side, you can see dry land. There is a beachhead, as it were, a small bit that comes above the water. You can see some rocks and things. And then there's a section of the behind.
A section that you broke up then. A section of what, sorry?
A section of this sea cave, which extends back behind the beach on land away from you into the darkness. But it continues to stay as wide. It just sort of bends around. There's sort of a curve as it bends away. You can see a shaft of light piercing from above through the vent that you saw earlier. And the centerpiece of this chamber is a large pirate ship, which is rotted and scuttled on the rocks, and the back half of which is missing, either been destroyed or rotted away. The mast is gone, so it's just this sort of wreck sitting on the beach.
Wow.
Things are not as they seem. Under my breath, Dr. Glade, things are not as they seem. Pirates are not to be trusted, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's some sitting in here right now.
I think Dr. Glade, with his behind his mouth, will just have his mouth agape, probably staring at this pirate ship. This is I've never seen anything like this. I've read about such things in my childhood books, and drooled over the pictures, but to see a real pirate ship, goodness me.
Dr. Glade, you can see inside this pirate ship as you've pulled up from the water, the aft section, which is missing, exit of the cave. You can see this ship has been driven straight from the entrance onto the rock at the back, or onto the beach at the back, I should say. And as the aft has fallen away, it is exposed 3 levels within the ship, quite dark because the shaft of light doesn't get too far in, but see that the front of the ship, which is on dry land, is about 30 feet tall from the top deck right the way down. And you think just inside a variety of sort of detritus within the ship itself.
I think what? Sorry, I just got. I can see.
You can see inside the ship.
Yep.
Just a variety of sort of things. There's sort of in the front you can obviously make out some cannons in this, but in the shadows you're not sure that there's plenty more that remains within the ship.
Okay. And on this beach in front of me, is there any tracks or prints? Are we the first people, or has it been washed away?
Let me just see. You have the impression that the tide comes in and out with regularity, and so there aren't many tracks that you can see. You do know, as you look around, very things like rats and birds and this and that. You don't notice any humanoid footprints. However, you do have to make a
you cut out then a dexterity
saving throw.
Oh, okay.
Is he within 5 feet of me?
He I don't know.
We,
I mean, I would have been next to
yeah,
him.
we crawled out of the water together, and you did say to
Sure,
me,
then, yes.
Um, so I'm a shield master. That's the feat I took as a variant human. It says I I wrote it down, but I don't know if I wrote it down exactly how. But it says if I am subjected to any um if I'm subjected to an effect that allows me to make a dex saving throw to take only half damage, I can use take no damage if I succeed on the dexterity saving throw, interposing my shield between myself and the source of the effect. So what I'm saying is can I push him out of the way and then pull my shield up and try to do that?
Really told you why you're doing it yet? So you don't like. Just in context, because I haven't explained it yet. You don't know what you're defending against. Playing it, you can't really push him out of the. I guess you could, but okay, yeah. So how does what are the okay? How do the mechanics of that work?
So that's all that's written. It says if I am subjected to an effect that allows me to make a dexterity saving to take only half damage, um, I can use my reaction to take no damage if I succeed on that dexterity saving throw, interposing my shield between myself and the source of the effect.
I see. So this is all predicated on someone's taking damage.
Yeah.
Okay. So I can see right now that that's not the case, so you don't worry about it.
Okay.
But I still want Dr. Glade to make dexterity saving.
okay. There we go.
$20. Pretty firm on that number.
Oh, yep. Sorry, I pressed it twice. 25.
Well, it matched anyway.
Yeah.
You begin your nimble cat-like reflexes to prevent you from hurting yourself, or indeed even falling on anything except your feet. You stumble and catch. You find inside a footprint, which is about the size of your body.
You broke up a lot then. So I stumble and fall into a footprint
Sorry.
that's as big as me.
Yes. You stumble on a low depression in the earth. And as you sort yourself out, as you catch yourself, you turn around and you find yourself standing unharmed, footprint the size of your own body.
I turned to Delg. Delg, I think I've been shrunken.
I look over and I say, do I see? Do I see what he's in?
A footprint the size of his body.
I go, my eyes get wide, and I just shake my head and I put my finger to my lips and I like pantomime like, don't talk, hide.
So I take Delg's advice and I will try and hide. Now I think I have that's one of my skills, isn't it? Cunning action. I can take the hide action. Oh no, that's when I'm fighting. So yeah, I'll try and hide. So I'll have a look
Okay.
around. Is there a shadow I can
Yeah, there's a large
secrete
rock you can
myself
easily
into?
hide behind.
Okay, so I will, as quietly as possible, go hide behind the rock and look at Dell questioningly, like what? Or does Dell come and join me behind the rock?
Yeah, I'm gonna slowly make my way over there.
What what do you think it is? You think my hypothesis is incorrect? We haven't shrunk.
And I'm gonna look at him and say, have you ever heard of I don't know what they call it here, an etin, a giant?
A giant, yes.
They that's the only thing that could be. We need to have our wits about us. And can I take a perception check around or like take a look around and see if I notice anything?
Yes, make a perception check.
21.
From the safety of your hiding space, you don't notice anything else that you haven't seen. Quite still. But you do notice that the footprint, moment's thought, and you realize that an Essen is sort of around 10 feet tall at a stretch, right? It's about 10 or 10. This footprint wouldn't belong to something that size because this footprint is bigger than.
Oh God.
What shape is the? Is it
It's
like a
humanoid
boot?
style,
Yeah. So yeah,
right?
yeah, like a boot.
Is it toes? You can see toes.
Oh right. Okay. Okay.
The thing must be at least 100 feet tall, 50 feet tall,
Yes.
and I don't see anything else.
You see a series of footprints leading back behind into the darkness of that.
Of where the ship is.
Behind you, you've put yourself behind a rock. The ship is between you and the exit. The foot to your left, and then around into the darkness away from you. You are sort of between the ship and the footprint's eventual destination.
Okay.
Delg. I think something of that size, we would clearly hear it coming. Perhaps, hopefully, it's out hunting or doing whatever giants do. Let's move ahead quietly. Get what information we can about honest. What was his name? Honest Chuck. And hastily get out of here before he returns or it returns.
I agree. And we'll stealthily make our way to the ship then.
Okay. You sneak over the enormous ship. Am I a robot right now?
Yeah.
Gotta tell me. You sneak over towards the enormous ship and are greeted by a 30-foot high bulkhead. Do you climb it? Do you go around the back and swim? How do you gain entrance into this ship?
So we've walked up the front end of the ship. I'm trying to picture this in my mind's eye. Is stranded on the beach.
That's right.
And when we're looking, almost looking at a cross section of a ship in front of us, are the three levels. So are you saying we can just walk straight in?
No, the other way around. So, if you were standing on the beach,
Mm-hmm.
the prow of the ship is beached. The torn away back of the ship is in the water.
Mm-hmm.
So the layers that you could swim around from where you are on dry land. You could get back in the water and just walk in, or you could climb in staying dry up the front.
And so looking at the front, is there any rigging, sails, anything that's fallen down to aid us climbing up, or would we just be climbing up the woodwork of the...
Dubious rope.
Okay, so assessing that. Delga, I don't think that's those ropes they look like they will hold our weight for very long. I think we may need to get wet again and swim round.
Yeah, Doug doesn't have a problem with that. Yeah, let's do that.
So yeah, well, I guess swim round.
You round and you way into the bottom floor of the pirate ship. The ship itself only extends for maybe 30 feet until it hits the prow, and the bottom sea is pretty well stripped away of anything interesting, simply because you can tell the tide is lapping in. You note maybe a few old barrels, several that are just broken, and a few spare cannons rusted.
And is there any sign that anyone else has been in here? I imagine that with things rotting, covered in dust, cobwebs perhaps, can I detect any disturbance in, say, getting a picture of what's normal in this condition? Do I see any footprints, scratches, broken webs,
Yes,
disturbed dust?
you find several broken cobwebs, as you said, but they look relatively old because they're the old, and some of the newer ones are similarly caked with wood dust.
Mhm.
You note that the wood itself is only partially rotted, and some of it on the back half of the ship quite evident signs of tearing or ripping or rending, not simply rotting away and breaking. It looks actively destroyed. That's all that you can tell on the bottom floor of this pirate ship.
And are there any stairs, ladders in this section
There
that we
is
can?
a set of creaky stairs leading up to the middle floor.
Um,
I'll go up those first.
Yep. You do. One of the steps gives way beneath you, meaning that Dunk be more difficult time getting up as well. But freeze at the crash as it tumbles and sort of crumbles away from your foot. So far, nothing stirs.
We make our way up to the rest of the middle floor.
Where did I lose you?
You lost me at nothing stirs.
That's all I said. Nothing.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna make our way up to the middle floor.
The middle floor of the pirate ship is some populated. Hang on 1 second. One second. What's the
Hello? What's the what?
Yeah, hang on. Sorry, something out that I had written down, and I was just trying to remember how I cataloged it, and so I unhelpfully decided to ask you, even though you have no idea what I'm talking about. You know the way. Okay. You walk into the second floor, and you see a giant dining room for you. And there's a big long table with windows on either side, dripping all of this cave juice. And the table is not laying because it's obviously been quite some time. You can see that there are pewter and copper plates been sort of turned over. There's some candlesticks, which are also made of pewter. You can see the remains of some previous silverware, but only the scraps. Clearly, excuse me, clearly the silverware, the proper silverware, has been looted. But the most prominent feature is sitting at the end of the table is a large chair in which sits a skeleton of a man wearing a tattered wearing a tattered coat with a red sash tied around his waist, huge flared boots on his rotted bones, a floppy hat, something gripped in his skeletal hand.
Does he have an eye patch?
He does have an eye patch.
Yes.
It's One-Eyed Willie.
It's One-Eyed Willie.
So can I gingerly make my way over with my shield and
You can.
and see what's in his hand?
In his hand, he grips a compass.
And which way is the compass headed?
It's upside down. You can't.
Careful now, Delg.
Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it.
No. Don't mess. I mean, be careful of traps, but that looks.
All right. Well,
did
then
that,
I'll put my shield in front of myself.
can we?
Gingerly lift over the compass.
You manage to extricate his compass from his hand, and you brace for something to happen. You turn the compass over, and it's broken, and nothing happens.
Oh.
You exhale. But
I
Yeah.
place it back in his hand.
His hand is crumbled into nothing. Do you put it in his other hand?
I'll set it in front of him.
Okay. You are grateful, however, for where you have stood. Gingerly pluck this compass from his hand, because only sitting there would you have been able to see a body behind the cap.
You're breaking up, Alex, really bad.
You
I
are
know that
grateful.
There's a body behind him.
You are great. You did end up standing near the captain's chair to get this compass out because you weren't able to see. There was another set of human remains behind the captain's chair.
I'll inspect it.
Make an investigation check.
Okay. Ooh, that's bad. 17.
That's not bad.
Well, I mean my modifier is -1.
Oh, I see. He rolled well. You get the sense that this is much further. The skeleton of a pirate captain has been here for a very long time, but this particular has only been here for about 9 months.
I guess I need.
I'll rifle through his pockets to see if identifying objects on him.
Would Dr. Glade also recognise the age? If I come over, I guess I'd be able to tell this 9 months. And would that correspond? Sorry, you're going to have to help me here. Would that correspond with the time that Honest Chuck's been missing? I can't remember.
It would.
Right. Okay. So I'll say to the Delg, I think this may be Honest Chuck. The time frame of the decay of this body certainly fits the time frame of him going missing.
Doug is gonna take a deep breath and sigh and mutter a short prayer.
Yeah, is there any belongings on him that would help further identify him?
You rifle through his effects, and you manage to extricate a with some coins in it. Not very much, maybe 3 gold coins worth of change, and a heavy, beautiful golden seal with a diamond on the top.
I think this is what we're looking for, Geld. Certainly matches the description. Could Dr. Glade inspect the body to see if he can figure out a means of death? How did he come to his demise?
Notice immediately that it is missing a head.
Oh.
You diagnose him with decapitation.
Yes, you might not believe this, Del, but I think he died from losing his head.
Shocking.
Can we see the head anywhere?
You do not see the head anywhere. You do, however, make a medicine check.
Yeah, I'd like to go all Dexter on this and look at the blood spatter and stuff. Medicine, medicine, medicine. That is 11 from Dr. Glade.
You don't quite manage to do a full Dexter on it with an 11, but you do manage to figure out no sign of trauma to the offensive wounds, no other in his missing head. But you do manage to notice, actually, let's have Mike make just a normal investigation check, another one.
Okay.
What is it?
Nah. 6.
No. Mike, you smell soot.
I'll tell him right now. I smell soot. Like smoke or just soot?
Like burned, since burned material. Something burned. It's not burning now.
Is Dr. Glade able to tell the wound at the neck? Is it a clean cut? Is it jagged? Is it torn? Is it burnt?
Well, it's only he's Miss Chuck is there's not very much flesh left, but what bits of gristle remain stuck to his bones are cleanly singed.
Okay. Delg, have you ever seen? I mean, have you ever seen anything like this before? What kind of weapon or what kind of
It seems
creature
to be
could do this?
Some sort of heated material. Possibly could have cauterized it at the end. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like this.
Is there a trail of blood or gore
There is a
leaving?
small pool of blood immediately at his neck. You do not otherwise notice any other blood.
Well, Delg, we've found what we came for. Honest Chuck's dead. We've got the seal back, but there is still the mystery of who killed him. We may never settle the argument between Tui and Langton without evidence that neither one did it. If we return and say we found his body, and they may still blame each other. There's no evidence. Well, there's no evidence that either of them did it, but I can see these two friends who have fallen out still continuing to blame each other, which is not going to help our cause to get the ship made.
That's a really good point. The only thing I can seem to think of, did I go through his pockets, the second body's pockets?
The Honest Chuck's or
Honest Chuck, to see if he has anything else on him.
He has. I'm just trying to think what he would have. What are you looking for specifically?
I don't even know. Just like, I'm just trying to. I'm grasping at straws I mean, speaking to Dr. Glade, I would say. Well, clearly, he was set upon by some kind of fiend, some monster. Any sort of evidence besides what we see? I mean, would you say that either of those friends that you spoke to are strong enough, or to cleave a man's head off?
No,
in one swipe?
That's a very good point. No, not by human standards. No. He would have, perhaps if he was knocked out in some way or disabled in some way. But what weapon could have done such a thing, and what strength it would have taken to do this, I do not know. I think our safety is our number one priority here, but it would be it would be good to if we could return his body to Ladenford and give him a proper burial, but
I agree.
it may slow us down.
Let's let's return with a boat and a small boat that we could paddle in here, put his body on, and then paddle back out to have a stretcher or something or wrappings to bring him back in. I'm just afraid, right? It's a bit too grisly for the sight of common folk, and um, out of respect to his family and his memory, to have him covered and transported in a more secured way would be better.
Do you think we could shove him in one of the barrels? So to get him out of the cave at the very least.
Del clears his throat. I've never handled a body in such a way, but if important to you now,
Well,
yes, I'm sure we could.
I may be able to break his bones in certain places to help fold him into the barrel and then straighten him out at a later stage. No one will ever know.
No, no, no. That is, we are not doing that. We will. Del puts his hand on a wall.
I
We
fear
cannot be desecrating such a man.
he's dead now. I just fear if we return with a boat, we may return at the same time as this giant. I think if we're going to leave now with him, we leave now.
Oh, okay.
Or perhaps there's a lifeboat on the upper deck we could investigate up there.
Possibly. Let's go and check.
Yeah. Is there again some ladders or stairs to take us up to the
There
upper
is
deck?
another set of creaky stairs.
This time I think I'll take the lead and gently test each step, whether it will take my weight before applying my full weight onto them.
Yep, you nimbly walk up the stairs with a creak, but not a crash.
Okay. What do I see?
On the top deck, you don't note a lifeboat. Say that 10 times fast. You don't note a lifeboat anywhere. You see a relatively abandoned deck, signs of a scuffle, old signs of a scuffle on the top deck, scratches, for example. And you notice that the mast in not cracked or chopped, but
You cut out slightly. Cracked, not
you
chopped.
notice that the mast of the boat is neither sort of split or chopped down. It is missing, but you notice that it has been torn away.
Okay. And anything else of interest up here? Any bodies? Any nothing? So you're saying there's no lifeboats.
You note a couple extra skeleton pieces, but nothing that would create a full.
And up from this vantage point of being up on the upper deck, can I look over the side at the beach and the cave? Does that give me a better view of the footprints or anything? Any other clues?
You roll an investigation check.
Okay.
I almost called you Boone. Make a perception check as well, please.
11 on my investigation check.
23 on my perception.
Dr. Glade, you don't notice anything particularly out of the ordinary. You do have a higher vantage point, but the L curve of the cave and the beach, from seeing anything, even though you're higher up, that you wouldn't have otherwise noticed. Delg, you hear splashes against the side of the boat, and then you hear some from the bottom of the boat, from the bottom deck.
I will briskly shout, hearing that, down to Dr. Glade. Doctor, get a high vantage point immediately. Something's coming.
Why a high vantage point?
They're coming up from the bottom of the boat.
Oh,
We can avoid being seen. Get the drop on them.
Dr. Glade will. Are there any ropes hanging over the side of the boat?
Yes.
He will test a rope to see if it's strong enough and lower himself over the side and hold on, waiting to see what happens.
Delg, what are you that you know this is happening, or now that you suspect something is happening?
I'm on top of something, right? I've got a high vantage point.
You could stand on the dining room table, or have you gone up to the top deck with Dr. Glade?
I've gone up to the top deck with him, and I will. Oh, there's no mast, right?
There's no mast.
I will look over the side where I heard the splashing.
Mm-hmm.
And then just investigate that.
You notice nothing at all.
I'm gonna keep my guard up. I'm gonna hold my divinity of turn undead.
Okay. You another crash from the staircase between the bottom floor and the middle floor.
I'm gonna look to Dr. Glade and look at him and say, "What?"
We need to get out of here. That's what we need to do. Does the rope I'm hanging from, does it reach the bottom of the ship and the beach?
Within 10 feet.
Del, follow my lead, and Dr. Glade will lower himself down the rope and lower himself as low as he can on the rope, and then drop the rest of the way to the beach.
Okay.
Or I'll do the same.
You make it onto the beach.
And I think we need to hightail it out of there. So make a run. What do you reckon? Run or? So I asked Del, should we run or quietly leave?
Can I quickly do another some kind of perception check or something to try to figure out like where they are or whatever this crashing noise is coming from in comparison to us?
Yes, do an investigation or a perception check.
16.
You smash, indicating that they've moved onto the top deck. You
Robot time.
You're a robot.
Oh, are you there?
No, wait. You have every reason to suspect that they are on the. You heard the crash. Yeah.
What?
You broke up a bit. Yeah.
You asked where this thing is. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Hang on. So, you heard the crash coming from the staircase between the middle and the bottom deck, and you didn't hear anything else. So you suspect that the creature, this phantasm, is on the middle deck.
Okay, so I'm going to. Um, I, I'm gonna look to Dr. Glade and say, I've never been one to run away from a fight, and I don't want to be caught in the water if this thing is going to be coming for us.
No,
I think we should see this
yeah.
thing face on.
Dr. Glade's yes, we're acting like bloody fools. Like scared children. It could be a seagull trapped in there for all we know. Yes, let's at least take a look at what we're up against. If we back down the beach a little bit, can we look back into the boat and see the middle deck and see if we can catch a look at this thing?
You do. There's also some that perhaps climb onto a rock of sorts, and you can peer in view. Please make an investigation check.
A 9. I'm not rolling very well today.
Can I do one as well?
Yeah, I said both.
Yeah. Sorry. Oh, 2.
Oh wow. You aren't a patient vantage point from this rock to see inside if anything changed.
And is there any new footprints on the beach to indicate what has entered the ship since we entered?
I'm sorry. Say that again.
Are there any new footprints on the
water, has it-
beach since we
Yes. You make another investigation check. A better one this time, please.
16?
Yes. You know large 5-toed footprints are freshly trodden and extend from the area behind the cave down the beach and along the same side of the boat that Delg heard the slashes.
5-toed, so humanoid? Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of a humanoid foot, 5 toes, as you would expect. I was taking some artistic license.
Well, Delgers, it's either leave or announce ourselves.
With that, Delg will nod to Dr. Glade, cast light on his mace, drawing it, and say, "Show yourself."
And Dr.
Be
Glade,
blessed by the light of Hephaestus.
Dr. Glade will say, "You in there! We are here to collect the body of our friend, Honest Chuck. We have come from London Ford and we wish to return his body. I'll just leave it at
that. Both of you make a dexterity saving throw.
Is there any way that I can push him out of the way? Is this something I can see?
24.
Yes,
you don't need to push me.
Oh, okay. Just as an instinct, he'd be protect his allies.
I ain't there when you go to push me.
So this is is this a saving throw or is this like an AC? Or no, it is. Okay, hold on. I got it. Dexterity. There we go. Oh my goodness. Okay, 3.
Too busy trying to help me. Dr. Glade, look out! Oh, you're not there.
Yes, actually, that's cool. Dr. Glade, you see thing coming, and I'll describe it in a moment. So I'll just do it from start to finish. After you've called out, beat, in a tense moment, and then the glass of the window, which leads into the middle of the explodes outwards, and a mass of this object comes hurtling towards you, and you can't quite make out what it is. It's so Dr. Glade, on pure instinct, you do a sick backflip and twist and land on all fours. Delg, you anticipated you would need to help Dr. Glade, so you put all of your weight into this great shove, which is unfortunate because Dr. Glade is much more nimble than you and has done this great backflip clip and has left nothing but empty space. So you plunge yourself in it with the full force of this object and take some damage. You take of bludgeoning damage as you are hit with the force of this object, and you are pushed back about 5 or 10 feet. And it is only after this glass tinkles into the sea, sand settles about, that you notice that you have been hit with the headless corpse of Honest Chuck.
So, this is jolly good of you, thank you. We'll be on our way. Can I go to Delg and use my healer's kit to heal him?
Fix him up?
Yep.
Yes, of course you can.
So 1d6 plus 4 hit points to it plus additional hit points equal to the creature's maximum number of hit dice. So d6 plus 4, so 2 plus 4 is 6. And what's your maximum number of hit dice, Delg?
4.
4. So you've got 10 wounds healed, 10 hit points
That's
healed.
more than double the damage you took.
Good.
Yay! Thank you.
An unusual way of returning the body to us, Del, but we got what we wished for. I guess we'll have to try and swim and support the body of old Chuck out ourselves.
I don't think we should leave such a beast trotting upon this land.
Yes, I would tend to agree, but I consider myself quite the gentleman, and I did ask them to return the body, and they have returned the body.
And we are to trust this thing not to attack?
I guess I would turn that question on its head, and are we the kind of people that can be trusted to not attack someone when they do the things we ask them to do?
Still having light casted on my mace, can I see inside that window to see if there's any beast in there?
Can you look in the window? How are you going to look in the window?
I have light casted on my...
The window...
Huh?
The window is 20 feet off the ground.
Oh, I can't, the light doesn't shine in there, really?
Well, a flashlight, and you were 20 feet below something. Well, do you walk up to it, or the light only extends... I suppose, actually, that's a good question. How close... Because the light extends from the spell light, I think, 40 feet.
And then, yeah, and another 40 feet of dim light.
So, so how close do you get?
I would say I'd get about 40 feet away. So I have, like, bright light on it.
Make another investigation check.
18.
18? Yeah, with an 18, what are you looking for? You're looking for a creature or some sort of thing?
Yeah, I'm looking to see, like, what it is.
You see anything creature-like. You see no hideous monster whatsoever. But you do notice a small discrepancy in your memory, or rather, in perceived reality, because you notice that the captain sitting at the table has two perfectly good hands.
You cut out slightly. He could see that the captain now has two perfectly good hands.
That's right. The captain sitting at the table, from whom you took the compass, now has two perfectly good, attached hands.
Is his compass back in his hand?
His compass is still on the table.
All right, okay.
Huh. And how close is the captain to me?
To what?
How close is the captain to me?
It was before, so about 50 feet.
About 50 feet. Hold on, I'm seeing what this is. I will get another 30 feet. I will get within 30 feet of him, so. And then I will use my channel divinity of turn undead to see if he moves. He needs to make a wisdom saving throw. If the creature fails its saving throw, it is turned for 1 minute or until it takes any damage. Any turned creature must spend its turns trying to move as far away from me as it can.
Okay. So how does it work? It has to make a saving throw?
A wisdom saving throw, yeah.
If it's an undead.
Correct.
I assume.
Yes.
You call upon the holy power of Hephaestus, and your mace glows with volcanic light, and nothing happens.
Interesting. I'll turn around and shout back to Dr. Glade and say, "The captain's hand is back. I attempted to make it turn, but nothing moved."
Okay, I think it's time for us to make our leave. Is there, Alex? Is there any wood that we could use as a makeshift raft to put the body on?
There
Around?
is an old piece of the hull which is sloughed off that you could put the body on.
Okay, let's. Del, help me here and start dragging the body over to the piece of wood.
Yeah, and I'll help and then start swimming back.
And
Yeah.
can we maybe hastily tie the body to the wood and then pull it into the sea and try and pull our way back round.
Yep, you push the raft, you sort of kick as you swim, and it bobs on the waves with Honest Chuck's remains with it. And Delg, as you begin to leave the cave, you turn around for one last look at this pirate ship, and you can see the sun's sort of set and the tides come out just a bit. So from your vantage point, the sun is illuminating slightly better this ship, and you can see right the way back into the middle. Pirate captain, and he raises his hand and he gives you a wave.
I'll just chuckle to myself and shake my hand. Oh, so he wasn't undead.
No, he was not undead.
And then I'll give him just a nod and then swim back.
You guys make it out of the relatively well. You manage to make it the edge where you've left your things, your certain metal effects. I think you said you left on the. Find this place where there's that step to get back out. You've made it safely.
Using this boat, can we use this as some kind of stretcher to drag or make our way back to Laddenford?
You strip a few what's the word I'm thinking of? Beam ports off of the floaty bit that you managed to get from the hull, and you create a makeshift sort of hand drag behind you back to Laddenford a few hours.
Okay. As we're walking, I want to discuss with Delg what we do next. Do we take the body to the sheriff and report what we found?
I don't believe so. Returning back, the beast revealed itself to me to be the captain. I believe that our friend here upset him in some way and lost his head for it.
Well,
I think we should just leave it at that. Tell the friends what we had seen, and hopefully they believe us for what we've accomplished and move about on our way.
so when we return to town with a dead body, do we get message, and where do we store this body? Who do we give it to?
I
Do
would
we?
give it. Well, first I think we should drop it with groundskeeper or gravedigger, um, if there's a graveyard in town, and then from there go and find his family if he has friends.
I mean, we could just say to the sheriff, look, we found this body out by the coast. Um, I'm just
Sure.
I'm worried that
Whatever.
turning up to a grave with a body is going to raise some concerns of where's this body come from. It's going to get to the sheriff eventually. We need to speak to Langton and Tui to let them know that they can hopefully bring their quarrel to a finish. But I don't think we can return to Laddenford with a body and not be asked questions. So I think perhaps to go straight to the sheriff, who we know is looking well, maybe not very well, but this is a case of theirs to find Honest Chuck. They know he's missing.
I agree. I'm not used to such situations where I have to report such a happening, but um,
Yes,
it
yes,
checks out with me.
yes. My apology. Perhaps my time in the city, the bureaucracy. Perhaps we'll be proven wrong when we reach Laddenford, but usually in the city there's a whole host of paperwork to fill out when one finds a dead body, which I often did in my line of work, home visits to the elderly and infirm. I unfortunately would often find them at home and they'd passed before I could help them. But places like Laddenford have simpler systems in place, but I do think we should let the sheriff know.
I agree.
So we'll head back to Laddenford and seek out the sheriff as soon as we reach town.
Very good. You make it back to Ladenford, just after dark, I think. Everybody, just hang on. Okay. You make it back to Ladenford after, and Boone isn't there. Goodbye, Boone. And neither is. There we go. There we are. Okay. Can you see yourself, Mike? You can't.
Nope.
But now you can.
It's very dark.
You have light, don't you? So you would use it.
If I didn't have your company, Delg, I may have spooked myself carrying a headless body around with me.
It's hard to get used to, I will admit that.
There we go. You make your way back into town. You draw some looks as you head into town carrying a headless rod. But some people take the benefit of the doubt, as you are a doctor after all, and sort of what you're doing.
Can we
Delg, you are not given the same benefit, but you have.
Can we ask him to point us in the direction of the sheriff?
Yes. You direction of the sheriff, which I will mark on your map. That's how this thing works.
Is that the purple building? I can't really see much.
The purple building is the temple.
Okay. I can't see where you've marked the sheriff's.
Well, it's nighttime, isn't it? Actually, I think I have something for this. I think completely night. I do this. There, is that better?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There we go. You make it to the sheriff's office, which is here.
Okay.
And you see the sheriff. You presume it is the sheriff, sitting behind a desk. He is an enormous, corpulent man. He is bloated and sweaty. And you see on the door, his name is Sheriff Bartleby Mardavian.
Sheriff Mardavian. So I guess we'll announce ourselves. Sheriff Mardavian, I'm Dr. Glade. This is my colleague Delg. We're here to report the finding of a body. I believe it to be the body of Honest Chuck, who I understand you have an open case for.
You found Honest Chuck?
Yes, we believe so. It's we may need your assistance in identifying the body. He has lost his head.
Then how do you know it's Honest Chuck?
Well, I am a doctor, and I am able to ascertain how long a body has been decaying. There are particular signs, particular creatures. The blood congeals in certain ways. The skin takes particular colors. The body bloats by a certain amount each day. And my estimation is this body died 9 months ago, and that seems to correspond with missing Honest Chuck.
Something else to point out, sir, is that two of his friends were actually quarreling over a certain crest, and the crest was actually found on this body as well, further identifying him as Honest Chuck.
Well, we're Honest Chuck for some time now. You've done us quite the favor in locating his body.
Oh, you're breaking up a bit, actually, Alex. Could you repeat that?
I'm sorry. Let me have a look at the connectivity. There we go. Well,
No, that's worse. That's worse.
Bringing back his body. We're testing 1, 2, 3.
That's better.
Yeah. Well, you've done us quite in bringing back his body.
Oh, you're well. We did have our own motives, actually. We're in the market to have a boat built, but this quarrel between Tui and Langton Reed is has been quite irksome. So that's why we set out to try and find Honest Chuck and solve this argument between the two. I don't know if you're aware of it, but each one believes that the other stole this diamond encrusted, what is it again? Seal.
Yeah.
When clearly the evidence is that Honest Chuck had it himself. So we'd like to get Tui and Reed to make friends and build this boat. Now we seem to have the evidence that could aid us in that with your permission, I would like to invite Tui and Reed here to witness the body and the return of the seal themselves.
Oh, hang on. I've got bad connectivity. One second. Some of the boys and I had a wager going. Where exactly did his remains?
Can I do an insight check just to see if that's his true motives about the? Am I reading any body language or
Sure.
picking it? Insight, okay, yeah. 15.
You are able to you could take him at his word.
I won't reveal to him that we rummaged around in the basement, but I will just say, yes, we made a call on Honest Chuck's house to see if he was in, and there was no sign of him. The door was wide open, so being a doctor, I didn't want him to be laid there injured somewhere in the house. I proceeded in to offer my assistance and found that he'd clearly long left the building. There was dust everywhere. But what I did find, just down the back of one of the side cabinets, I saw a piece of paper poking out, and it was a piece of his diary saying that he was going to the Sea Grotto, and that it was a recent date corresponding with his disappearance. So we put two and two together and headed out to the grotto, and sure enough, we found his body washed up onto the beach.
Most curious. I will have my deputy fetch in the morning.
Fetch what? Sorry, yeah, you cut out.
I will have my fetch the gentleman in the morning.
Oh, that's very good of you, Sheriff Mardavian. Sheriff Mardavian, we and my colleague will meet you back here in the morning.
And what became of the seal?
I think Delga's already shown that, haven't you, Del?
Yes, sir. We're actually looking bring this back to the two gentlemen who were quarreling over it, just to settle that and further develop the building, the commission of a certain ship.
And I am happy to keep it in the safe here at the sheriff's office until tomorrow morning.
And I'm sure you will provide us with the appropriate paperwork there, Sheriff Mardavian, if we were to hand over.
If you should like a receipt, that would be all right.
Yes, that I look at Delg. Do you?
I'm actually, hold on. Let's see if I can actually do this. Nice. I'm actually going to. I'm gonna not do that. I will say, attempting to like convince him and the such. Just say, you know, I by no mean any disrespect, sir, but having this seal means quite a deal to the two gentlemen, and I will give you my word as a cleric, as a man of Hephaestus. I work with my hands every day. It's hard, honest work, and I want to see this through with my own hands and delivering it to him right away.
I will also, and if you have any concerns of us skipping town or anything like that. I'm sure you don't. We're upstanding gentlemen. But we will be staying at the Cat's Whiskers. And if you perhaps even join us for perhaps some supper, Sheriff. If what time do you get off work? Join us for a drink.
I could be persuaded to come for dinner in the next hour.
Then we will see you at the Cat's Whiskers. You will see for yourself that we are staying there. This seal will be in our protection. But yes, I'm with my colleague there. I think I would gain great satisfaction from returning this to the two gentlemen ourselves. But yes, let us buy you dinner, a meal, and I would love to learn more about your town here and some of the other cases that you may be working on. I've got a bit of a taste for this investigation work. I don't know if you ever hire out private detectives or need the aid of a medical mind like my own or a spiritual man like my colleague here, but perhaps we can discuss that over dinner.
One final thing before you go. You mentioned that you honest Chuck, but he was relieved of his head.
Sorry, will you repeat that? You broke up a bit.
You mentioned that you have brought back honest Chuck, but that he relieved of his head.
Yes, we searched up and down the beach and the area. We were unable to find the head. It is a mystery and a troublesome one at that.
And
I do know that the carrion creatures and detritus eaters of the sea may have carried it away or even stripped it of all the flesh quite rapidly.
And what do you propose to do with him?
With the remaining body?
Indeed.
Well, does he have any family around here? Do you know what his religious beliefs were? Perhaps that a burial is in order?
Honest Chuck had no to speak of, but his religious in line with our temple. I will speak to the priest tomorrow, and they will make some arrangements.
Then I would be happy to sign his body over to you this evening. I'm happy to take the diamond seal to lunch, but not a headless body, if you know what I mean.
Indeed, it is gruesome. And he hoists his bulk out of the chair, and he waddles to the door. A deputy approaches, a young, not fat man, and he gestures to the body, and he has the guy wheel it around the back, and they put it in a special sort of holding area for secure remains and other sort of things. And so Honest Chuck's body has been dealt with, and the sheriff wishes you a good evening.
Good evening, and we'll see you later at the Cat's Whiskers.
Yes. I presume you go back to the...
Sorry, you're cutting out.
Oh. Hang on. Yes, I will join you presently.
So
that was odd.
Yes. Well, we'll make our way to the Cat's Whiskers, shall we?
We shall.
Yep, you head back to the cat, and you are there. Your other companions have not returned.
So, is the bar keep there?
Bogdan.
Bogdan, this is Bogdan. We're having the sheriff as a guest for dinner. Can you set out a table for 3, please?
I would, only he won't be coming.
Oh, why'd you say that?
Well, I've lived in this town for some, and the sheriff entertains many a dinner notion, but I've never seen him actually make it to one. He enjoys ahead of our dinner or over the street, singing jester, what you would call a liquid dinner.
Oh, I see.
And he usually just so very hungry for his dinner that he doesn't quite make it out for the rest of the evening.
Maybe just the 2 of us, Delg.
Aye. I'll have a plate ready, but it would be most.
Nope, you've cut out. You'll have a plate ready, but it'll be most.
Unprecedented.
Bogdan, may I ask you a question? What are the chances of George Toohey and Langton Reed being awake at this time of hour?
And he looks at his hourglass. How would he keep time? And sorry?
I said some candles can keep time.
That's true. Actually, hang on. I'm just trying to think about the... Oh, no, there'd be clocks that we've set this. Yeah, there'd be clocks. There's a clock on the wall. There's a clock tower in town. And he says, you might find... hang on. You might find Langton awake, but it's unlikely. George will have long bit. Since his business collapsed, he too enjoys a liquid dinner.
Well, consult Delg. Delg, I was considering. I just got a bad feeling about this sheriff that when we return to his office tomorrow, that the Toohey and Langton Reed won't be there. But I'm not sure what else we can do. I suppose we should wait now to see if he does arrive, and perhaps just await the morning.
First, yes.
At least
wait until wait to see if he arrives or not. But
we still have the diamond seal.
Correct.
I guess we'll just pass the time in the Cat's Whiskers and waiting for the sheriff. And if he doesn't return, I guess me and Delg will get to know each other better and then retire for the evening.
Yeah, you pass the night. No one arrives. True to Bogdan's word, sheriff not emerge, or indeed join you for dinner. But you do enjoy a nice meal, and you're just sipping sort of a digest, shall we say, by the fire when the door to the inn flies open, a gusting as Malin ducks his head and steps into the bar, a rope in one hand and a live cow at the other. You wouldn't believe the day I've fucking had. That is where we'll end it for this week.
Very good.
All right.
Well done.
That was fun.
Yeah, I like that.
I like Delg. He's cool.
Yeah, thank you.
I think that is going to be horrendous to edit, Alex.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I'm not sure how much we'll be able to rescue.
Well, if you two were clear, I hate saying it, but I will. If you two were clear, because you're recording it, right? So obviously you'll be perfect, Adam. Mm-hmm. And Mike, generally, just me, and I have to. I will just record my own lines again.
Okay. Okay.
What I should really start doing, because it is always me and my shitty internet. I can't record at the same time, but I can record just me. So if we sync it up, if I actually stick to the thing I was supposed to do and put a timestamp at the snaps or the claps or whatever it is, then I could be able to sync yours and into the same place. And then if I ever do cut out, I can just use the other audio. That's a ball ache. Internet fucking BT, but such is life.
It's a good plan.
Okay. I'll see if this needs to be a shitty one. Then that's just fine. But you need some experience. What are you on at the moment, actually?
Dr. Glade is on 5460.
5460. And Delg?
What?
How many experience? Dog.
That's whatever. I mean, should I just put him barely at